Well, as the country reels from the news of the killing of hip-hop star Kiernan, aka Forbes, and Tebello, Tibs, Motsoane, gun violence in South Africa has once again come back into the spotlight. Well, let's talk about the availability and prevalence of guns in our communities. And for that, we're joined by Adele Kirsten, the Director of Gun Free South Africa. Adele, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think the country is still very much in shock over the death of aka as well as Tibs. But talk to us about what you thought about when you saw this story starting to break, particularly when you think about the work that you do in highlighting the prevalence of gun violence in South Africa.
Good morning, Naledi. It's shocking and a reminder that in an instant at the pull of a trigger, two families' lives are devastated and a country lost two really valuable people. But it's a reminder also that unless our government acts decisively and develops a clear strategy to deal with the issue, this will happen again and again, whether it's a mass shooting, whether it's what appears to be an assassination, whether it's young men killing other young men, men killing their wives. This will continue until we reduce the availability of guns. The sad reality is that this has shocked the nation because these are two people who are known. They're in our homes. We know about them. But 28 other people were shot and killed on Friday. We don't know them. And yet those families are suffering the same loss. This has gone viral. Our gun violence has really gone viral.
What then do we do, Adele? I mean, we've seen over the years where law enforcement certainly has tried to bring down the availability of guns in our community by even allowing for people to hand their guns over to law enforcement. And yet, the numbers of gun violence in South Africa seemingly aren't changing. So what then is the solution for us to have less and less guns in our streets and in our communities?
There are really two things that need to happen. The illegal guns in circulation, the illegal guns in the hands of criminals need to be confiscated. So this requires intelligence-driven policing, a specialist firearms unit whose task is to find the guns, recover them, and then destroy them. They have to go out of circulation. Because this is the key, this is a very vulnerable moment for weapons, is once they're recovered and they go into the SAP system. It's known globally that this is a key moment for weapons to move back into the illegal market. So they have to move to destruction so that the state does not play a role in pushing weapons back into the illegal market. So that's about dealing with the existing pool. But we have to turn off the tap. We have to stop the supply of weapons. And this means going upstream. So looking at, say, your private security, your police, who needs guns in policing? You know, we see loss and theft from police officers as well as murder of police officers for their guns. And then we have to look at civilian ownership. 24 guns are lost and stolen from civilians every single day. Yeah. So it's one of the biggest sources of weapons moving into the illegal market. You need to do both. We need to deal with both the illegal gun market and with the legal market. We need to go upstream. This is doable. When you reduce gun availability, you reduce gun deaths. We've done it before, and we need to do it. It's an imperative. It's not a nice to have. This should be a priority for our government.
I think what stands out about what you've just said, though, is that a lot of the guns that enter the criminal networks actually do come from civilian guns, which is quite interesting, right? So guns that perhaps someone has in their home as a result of wanting to protect themselves, ending up in the criminal market and then feeding into that. I want to talk a little bit about that because for many South Africans, there's this idea that having a gun in your home actually helps you protect yourself and your family, but the likelihood of that actually doesn't work out that way. It actually adds to the supply on the streets.
It absolutely adds to the supply on the streets. I mean, if we're looking at those numbers, we're talking about 24 guns a day moving from the legal into the illegal market. The point is often some of the research done in South Africa and elsewhere shows that often houses are targeted because it's known that there's a firearm present. And we know police officers are often targeted for their guns. But also for many women, the gun in the home does not bring safety. Women talk about being threatened by their partners with a gun. Many women take out protection orders requesting the police to remove the gun. Sometimes the police do, but often they don't, resulting in the death or serious injury of women. And tomorrow is the anniversary of Reeva Steenkap's murder. That gun was bought to protect her, and yet it's the very gun that killed her. And so women are particularly at risk of being killed and injured in their home by their intimate partner, who usually has a legal gun. Yeah. So it's a threat for children and teenagers in the home, and including, we have high levels of male suicide actually over the age of 50 with a gun. Yeah. So it's also, it's also for the gun owner. This is about protecting all of us, not just one particular group, but reducing gun circulation will make all of us safer.
Yeah, Adele Kirsten, such a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you so much for giving us your time, reminding us about the big challenge that we have in this country with the availability of guns in our communities. This as the country, of course, mourns the death of Kiernan, aka Forbes, as well as Tebello, Tibs, Motsoane, after that shooting that certainly has really shocked many South Africans. Adele Kirsten is the director of Gun Free South Africa.